So considering the length of this,
Okay. I see. Okay, what if you see the number one figure like woman's angi back yeah. Tẹ́bá pull it up, tẹ́bá ti sọ̀rọ̀ sí mic. Ẹ wo kíni náà tó lọ sókè yẹn. Yeah. Ẹ wo bóyá ó lọ sókè. Yeah, exactly. So tẹ́bá ti lọ sókè àbí pé it's one new.
All right, good afternoon. This is Diamond 101.1 FM, of course, a platform where we promote values and excellence. And you know what time it is? And you know what time it is? The time for Data Speaks, where we make data make sense. My name is Esther Okay, and today we have a very beautiful story. We have a very beautiful time on Data Speaks today. Yeah, today we'll be looking at how to, visualize and transform numbers into representations. That is how to tell a story using data. Okay, I want to welcome you back again to Data Speaks on Diamond FM. So previously we've discussed how data provides us with facts and figures and how visualizations transforms those numbers into visual representations. But what happens when we combine data narrative? And today we are exploring a very, very powerful concept. The concept is titled No Numbers Without Stories and No Stories Without Numbers. I take that again. No numbers without stories and no stories without numbers. We'll learn how to write a compelling story making use of data. Probably you don't know how to write a story making use of data before. Today we'll be on standby to teach you that very well. Join me with Professor Olubusoye, a statistician and a data analyst from UI Lisa, Department of Statistics, University of Ibadan. Join me as I welcome Professor Olubusoye. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you for having me. This is where data truly comes alive.
Yes.
And we are moving from just what the data says to why it matters to you and I.
All right. Yes, you're welcome, sir. Today, Professor, let's start by, with this intriguing title. What does no number without stories and no stories without number mean? In simple terms, let's just make it simple to every of our listener out there. What does it mean? No number without stories and no stories without numbers.
Okay, let's start with numbers. We all know what that means. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Of course. Of course.
So those are numbers. But again, when we talk about stories, in those days we used to talk about the story of turtles and elephants. We also talk of human stories. In essence, we are bringing together numbers and stories. So when we say that no numbers without stories and no stories without numbers, basically it means that for data to be meaningful, it needs a human context. Numbers on their own can be very cold and abstract. If I say two, what does it mean? You know, it's a different thing if I say two people. If I say uh, 40, what does it mean? That number is meaningless except when I now say my age is 40, I'm 40 years old. So a story gives the number a purpose, and that makes the number relatable. So conversely, a story based on anecdote, maybe on just personal opinion and without data can be easily dismissed. So numbers provide the evidence and credibility to make the story stick, to make the story uh, meaningful.
All right, thank you very much, Professor. I hope every of our listener out there got that explicitly, and that was relatable to us. He made mention of numbers, your numerical figures. So one, two, three. Then make stories out of them. He differentiated between stories and numbers. Thank you very much for
If I
that.
may still emphasize on that, the
Okay.
point is that if you simply write a number, you write a number like 30.
Okay.
If you don't attach a story to that number is meaningless. Do you understand my point?
Yes, yes, of course.
But if I say 30 stands for age,
Mhm.
does it make sense?
Of course, very well.
So numbers without story is not complete. And
True.
also, if you have stories without numbers,
They are also incomplete.
that also not complete. So numbers without stories is, we can say those numbers are meaningless. Conversely, stories without numbers, they are also not they are not precise.
Okay, so I think it's just safe to say that numbers and stories are interwoven.
That's what we are preaching. That when you are writing your stories,
Make use of numbers.
make use of numbers. When you have the numbers, let us know the story behind the numbers. Am I communicating?
Of course you are.
So you can't have them separate.
Mhm.
Stories, fine. But when I look at the stories and I cannot see numbers there, the stories not happen. It's difficult for me to relate with the stories. But when I see numbers, then I'm able to relate with the story.
All
So,
right.
we cannot separate them.
Then yes, they are interwoven.
So in the age we have, this modern age,
dispensation.
your stories must be weaving with numbers. You don't separate them. But we've had many people telling stories, but when you look through the stories, no number, no figure to make the story precise
And relatable.
and relatable.
Thank you very much. But in the light of that, can you give us some examples of the no number without story and no story without number?
Exactly. So I think even I've given one or two. But if you say, for instance, the average rainfall in Ibadan this year was 1,500 millimeters.
Okay.
That's a number.
Yes.
That's a number.
Yes.
But if you now say the average rainfall in Ibadan was higher this year than in the past decade, and residents are seeing unprecedented flooding on minor roads, that's a story, right? So the number gives credibility to the story, and the story makes the number relevant.
That's striking.
So when you are talking about rainfall in this particular example, and you mention this 1,500 millimeters of rain, it's really not something fantastic. But when you now show that number in comparison with the amount of the average rainfall in the past years, then you will now know why there is flooding, or why the volume this year is high compared to the previous years. If you are not combining the number, you are not integrating the number and the story, then it's difficult to make the story credible. What makes the story credible is the fact, the evidence contained in the story. So if you tell a story and you don't have numbers there, it's difficult to affirm the credibility of the story.
All right, moving on. So how do we create a data story? How do we go about it? What are the key components? What are we to put into consideration before we say, okay, this is how we can create or craft a data story?
Excellent. So there are three main components. Okay. The first one is the narrative. So here there must be you must have the main idea you want to talk about.
Okay.
If I want to talk about poverty, for instance, that's an idea.
All right.
If I want to talk about enrollment, student enrollment, that's an idea.
Okay.
If I want to talk about rainfall pattern, that's an idea. Tell me something that you think you can talk about Diamond FM. You can talk about your program.
Yes, our programs.
Right?
Traffic of the program. Okay.
So,
you can talk about numbers of staff members, volunteers.
You can talk about your viewers, your listeners.
Viewers, our listeners. Of course, they are our priority. Our listeners are our priority.
You can also talk about the presenters, right?
Yes.
The advertisers, and so on like that. So the first thing is, what subject is the focus of your narrative? You understand?
Of course.
Great. So, and that's what you want to communicate. The second component is the data.
All
right. So this is the factual evidence. And that's where you have the numbers, the statistics, and the figures that support your narrative. So if you make a claim, I've had many radio stations saying they are what do they normally say? That they are the best, right? But it's difficult for people like me to believe when number is not attached to those claims, to those narratives.
True.
And you simply come on the here to tell the whole world that we are give me the number.
Fact and figures should be provided.
Give me the numbers. Why are you on the top and who is next to you,
So you
who is no
below. Who are those below
who is
you?
who are the people at the bottom, the stations at the bottom. So that's what the second thing is, the data. The first is the narrative.
Narrative.
So if you are talking about your listeners, that's your point of that's the idea, narrative you want, area you want to build your narrative around. Two, what are the figures? What are the facts? What are the
The
statistics?
numbers.
Then the third component are the visuals. The visuals are the charts, the graph, the image that create for your audience to quickly and intuitively understand the data. So these are the three key elements or components uh, of writing a data story.
Thank you very much. So I think it is not just enough to show charts
Yeah,
with the headline. Is it
yeah.
not just enough?
It's not enough.
Okay.
I mean, we see charts everywhere. We've spoken about visualization
Visualization.
before, right? But that visualization supposed to tell a story. There must be a narrative
Around it.
around that visualization. So if I see uh, uh, a chart without a caption, it's difficult for me to understand what that chart is
It represents.
about, right?
Yeah.
No title, no captions, no annotations. So chart without no uh, appropriate annotations will not communicate anything to the audience. So a chart is supposed to be part of the story, but it's not the whole story. That's the point. So a compelling data story builds on tension, presents a problem and offers a solution. And everything put backed by the data. So without having the data, having the story around the chart, then the chart is useless.
All right. Thank you very, very much for that insightful thoughts and words. Thank you very much. So we've seen in the light of crafting a story around numbers, evidence, facts, and figures. We've seen how that we have to make our data a story and not just an ordinary story, a compelling one. So we want to go on by saying what makes the data so powerful compared to just facts. What makes it powerful? What makes it fascinating? What makes it what makes it beyond the regular?
Yes. It's because as humans, you and I, we we are subject to emotions. Do you
Okay.
agree with me?
I agree 100%.
So you see, you love, you care, you get, you get angry,
Get tired,
you get
you
tired.
cry,
So
you feel hungry.
the way we are built, we are emotional beings, and so a story creates an emotional connection. When you talk about the impact of a health trend on families or the struggle of a community facing economic hardship, you are engaging people on a deeper level.
True.
So these emotional connections makes the data more memorable. are more likely to inspire action. So if you say, for instance, people, you have 60% of children who are supposed to be in school to be out of school, what impression do you have? What emotional feeling do you have immediately? Maybe let me bring it home. If I say in a company,
Yes, sir.
the um, the workers, 10% of the workers arrive early to work, which means 90%
Sense they come late.
come late. As a manager, what emotional feeling do you have if you are the manager of the company?
Immediately I feel I
Yeah,
feel inconsistency and incompetence amongst the workers.
exactly. So that is the point we are making. That when you attach numbers, then you stimulate emotions. If I if you read in newspaper, for instance, that inflation rate is double digit, that tells you that cost of living is high. Huh?
Yes.
What emotions, what type of emotion do you develop from there? So that's why you see people shouting that cost of living is very high, cost of living is very high. But when you hear also that inflation is single digit, 1%, 2%, 3%, 8%, 9%, what kind of emotion, what kind of feelings do you have? You immediately feel that yes, the economy is, the cost of living is uh, low. So um, data stories or stories, build around data. They create emotional feelings, and these emotional feelings is really what makes it memorable. That's why you will never forget it.
True.
So when you hear maybe there is an accident and uh, you know, many people died in the accident and they mention the number, that also stirs up emotions about this, the severity, the impact and the damage arising from that accident. So forever, those who are connected one way or the other will remember that incident. So numbers together with the story, you know, produce memorable, and they also cause, those who are uh, supposed to take action to swing into appropriate action
Sure.
and intervene.
All right, thank you very much. That was insightful. Okay, I want to know, and I believe every listener out there will want to know if there are any common mistakes to avoid
Yeah.
while trying to tell a data story.
So it's just like when you are preparing your soup. Most likely, uh, if by chance you had too much salt, then you yourself will not like that soup.
At all, I don't like it. I don't even like salt.
So common mistakes that those who build stories with data one common mistake they make is what I call data overdose. So when they, when they put too many numbers, too many figures, too many statistics into the story becomes, somehow unwavering, and it's difficult to connect the stories together. So what we are saying is that the data you will include, don't make don't make it overwhelming on the story. Don't throw too many numbers at your audience. Don't make them to consume data in, excess. So, so don't force the data to to tell the story that it doesn't support. And that's what we see in most cases. In order to convince people, data that is relevant, data that are not even relevant, data that are not so important, all of them are packaged and are put together simply to be able to tell the story. But what you need is actually the important, very important numbers, the key numbers that will support the story, and not just overwhelm your story with different numbers and figures. So again, you have to, most story writers are not honest, and there is need to be honest when you are writing data story. And there is also need to observe ethical practices. So there are data governance. You exposing personal information is not ethical when you are telling a story. You can tell collective stories, but again, you have to protect people information.
All right, thank you very much. Still on data speaks, where we make data make sense. Don't forget, my name is Esther, okay, and I have the amiable presence of Professor Olubusoye Amest. Okay, moving on. I want to know. Yes, we want to know. No, you spoke in the light of data overdose, how that as a data and a story writer must beware of making facts and figures too much on the data list or whatever, or on the data analysis,
on
the story you're writing.
Telling,
Yes, on the story you are telling. And also, you made mention of data analyst or story writer, data story writer, being honest, that there is need to be honest in whatever they are doing. You made mention of ethics too. That's what we call data governance.
So, so don't force the data to tell the story it doesn't support. Don't force the data to tell the story it doesn't support. Limit your narrative to the information in the data. That's where ethical and honesty.
Okay, can you give some real world examples of data stories that have made difference? Maybe cite an example of stories that made difference, significant difference, maybe in our world today, or probably those ones that have been in existence before.
Okay, so you could look at public health campaigns.
Okay.
data on the spread of a disease becomes a story of community action and prevention. Those who write on health-related issues, the stories, the stories are written basically so that the health managers will be able to know the appropriate action to take and how to prevent disease uh, transmission. There are also quite a number of data stories on corruption. Sometimes, I mean, even in Nigeria, you've read about corruption index. There is also the global corruption index and things like that. On infrastructural projects, the recent one here in your state is about election results. You know about the last uh, election about 2 weeks ago,
2 weeks ago.
right?
Yeah.
So,
Correct.
The outcome of that election showed the party that won and the number associated with the winner and the number of votes associated with the loser. So that's a typical data story that we are talking about. They are backed by verified figure. So there are so many examples that you can continue. So it could be story around corruption, it could be story around election, it could be story around health related, or it could be around infrastructure. So you could write a story, for instance, around the car owners, bicycle riders, the commercial vehicle campus, those cabs and so on. So there are so many examples that you can. The stories are packaged in such a way that you have data, compelling data to make it relatable.
Thank you very much, sir. Yeah. What roles can visuals play? What roles can visuals play in story, in helping the story to resonate with audience? Audience want the story to be relatable to those that you're talking to your target audience. How do you go about it, making use of visual cues?
Visuals are like the figure, the picture that you see. If I don't know you, for instance, and I see your picture, right? That's something that can possibly relate, right? So visuals are images generated from data. So it's like converting the numbers to images. That's simply what visuals are. Now, the visuals bridge, they are the bridge between the data and the narrative. Hope you understand the point I'm making. So, the visuals are the bridge between the data and the narrative. So a map of, if you see a map, for instance, of crime hotspots, maybe in Ibadan or in a particular area, that tells you a more powerful story than just looking at the list of addresses. If you have the map of your state and you see the crime hotspots, that map communicates better than when you now tell 1 page, 2 pages, 10 pages of story. That's where visual play help the story to resonate with the audience. I hope you understand that. So a simple chart, for instance, showing how school enrollment has been increasing over time, can speak volumes about the state of education in the community. If the trend is also downward, that also will show you what is happening, that things are not going fine as far as school enrollment is concerned. If you also see a plot, a time plot showing you upward movement, downward movement, or is oscillating around what we call an equilibrium point. That also is telling you a story. Right? So the visuals are vital tools. Visuals are vital tools when it comes to building stories. They help to bridge the gap between the data and the narrative.
All right, thank you very much. That was insightful. Outside just inspiring action.
Yeah.
Inside, sorry. The ultimate goal of data storytelling isn't just to inspire action. The ultimate goal of telling a data beside that there is no other usefulness but just to inspire action.
There are other usefulness, but that's the ultimate goal.
That's the ultimate goal.
When you are writing story, what do you if you are writing story about the state of infrastructure in the country, what are you aiming at? You want those in charge to take action. When you are writing stories about the state of education in the state or in the community, what's your ultimate goal? The ultimate goal is for the policy makers, the people in charge to take action. So data storytelling isn't just about sharing information, which sharing information is okay, fine.
It's part of it.
It's part of it. It's also it's about motivating people to make a change. Like the example of staff percussion and staff work. Information, that story is to help those concerned to paint the narrative. So whether it's a policymaker deciding on a new public health initiative, or whether a small business owner is adjusting their strategy, the data story provides why. One is to provide information.
Okay.
Right? Two action. Is to inspire those who are concerned. I know ASU is advocating put their salary in the public. And change the narrative to
Do
take
something
action.
about it.
So data storytelling, ultimate goal is to inspire action.
All right. Say a very big thank you to Professor Olu. Thank you very much for coming around today. This has been very, very insightful. I want to thank you for making yourself available to grace this program. Thank you so much. You've shown us things on how we can, how we can make data, because that is what we do on Data Speak. So data isn't just for experts. It's a tool for everyone to understand the world and to communicate effectively. For our listeners, I know you are always our architects are always at the top of everything we are doing. Okay, for our listeners with more questions, we just want you to stay tuned on this platform for statistical clinic on how you can go about your statistics. Right now, 101 FM reports platform where we produce and excellence. Do you have anything to say? Statistical.
You introduce the lab.
Okay.
You are officer,
Okay.
what we do,
Okay. We'll be taking you on how to go about it. You have the floor, sir.
So, UI LISA simply means University of Ibadan Laboratory for Interdisciplinary Statistical Analysis. Is a statistical laboratory, and also you can call it a statistical collaboration laboratory. This is a lab where you have experts to support research, any study, also to support businesses in terms of data analytics. So the lab is also for building capacity, training, early researchers, young, even very, senior researchers, supporting their research projects, and also providing sort of assistance, in data collection, in data preparation, in data analysis, in data visualization, in data um, reporting. Uh, you can also come for assistance when it comes to drawing useful inference from your data. Actually, would prefer to be part of your work from the start to the end, guiding you in the research formulation, in the formulation of your research missions, so that the data you be collecting will relevant and appropriate for the type of research questions that you are formulated. We will also uh, guide you in the analytical tools, this data analytic, the statistical packages that you use, and will help you to understand the output from those data statistical packages. So that's basically what we do, and you can locate us in the Department of Statistics.
Will be readily available to attend to you. So to draw the curtain today, we want to say a very big thank you for joining us on Data Speaks. Join us next week, same time here on Diamond 101.1 FM. Don't forget, we are the platform that makes data make sense, and we are the platform that does what? That produces excellence. Till next week, stay fine and don't forget to see us right in the Department of Statistics. We will be available. Good afternoon.